Hi, in this video we're going to look at the anatomy of the different blood vessels, the arteries, capillaries and veins. So when we're looking at the different types of blood vessels, the kind of features that we'll be looking out for are the endothelium layer, which line the walls of the vessels, the central lumen, that space in the centre in which the blood will pass through, the connective tissue, elastic fibres, smooth muscle, and the presence of valves. So we start with the arteries, the blood vessels that take blood away from the heart. So they have an outer layer made of connective tissue that gives it strength and rigidity, but it also contains some elastic fibres, so it is flexible as well. Middle layer is where we find the smooth muscle and more of those elastic fibres. So that allows the stretch and recoil of these arteries as this blood surges through with each contraction of the heart. Remember, the blood passing through will be under really high pressure, slamming up against the wall of the arteries. So they have to be able to withstand that. Really cool thing about this is that stretch and recoil is something you can actually feel for yourself. So you want to take a second, find the pulse in your wrist or your neck. You can actually feel the stretch and recoil each time the blood passes through with each contraction of the heart. So the arteries take the blood towards the tissues and contain smooth muscle. So although the smooth muscle is not actually required for the movement of the blood, that's done completely by the force generated by the heart, the smooth muscle can control the rate of blood flow. So if the smooth muscle surrounding the arteries contract, this will cause vasoconstriction, narrowing the space of the lumen and reducing blood flow, or they can relax and cause vasodilation, the widening of that central space, and this can increase the blood flow. So, this is particularly helpful through temperature regulation or when you're dealing with an active infection, and some of these we'll discuss in subsequent videos. But now we're taking the blood towards the body tissues where they'll pass through into these absolutely microscopic capillaries, and this is the site of the exchange of substances from the blood and the tissue. So things like oxygen, glucose, and other nutrients will diffuse out, and waste products from the cells, such as carbon dioxide, will diffuse in, and they can do so because the walls of capillaries are incredibly thin, just one cell thick, to allow for this exchange of materials. Now we've got to get the blood start moving back towards the heart. So veins take blood from the tissues back to the heart. So they also have an outer layer of connective tissue with those elastic fibres the same as arteries. However, they do have a much thinner muscular wall. The blood's now moving under incredibly low pressure, so it doesn't need to withstand that high pressure that the arteries do. So they also have valves to prevent the backflow of blood, but to keep it moving towards the heart. Remember, the circulatory system is a one-way system. So we've looked at the anatomy of the different vessels. So let's try a past paper question, pause the video and come up with your responses. So in this question, the diagram represents a capillary network, associated vessels and cells, and you've been asked to name the type of blood vessel labelled X. So if we look, we've got the capillary network here, and X is supplying the capillary network with blood. Okay. So that must be an artery, or would it be acceptable to say an arterial, those smaller arteries? They are the ones bringing the blood towards the capillary network. Okay. Part 2, state how blood vessel X, which we now know is an artery, can reduce blood flow to the capillary network. So that's getting to the smooth muscles. So vasoconstriction, contraction, constriction, or the narrowing of the lumen. And part B, name the layer of cells which forms the wall of a capillary. Well, those are your endothelial cells. So the endothelium layer, the epithelial cells, form the lining of the vessel walls. So hopefully we've a much better understanding now of the anatomy of the different vessels, but if you do have any questions, you can always let me know.